I bought groceries for the whole family with my pension. That night, my daughter-in-law mocked me for not contributing enough and threw the food in the trash. The next morning, she opened the fridge and saw something that made her drop her phone. I'm a 68-year-old widow. After my husband passed 5 years ago, I sold our home in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. It was the hardest decision I ever made, but I didn't want to live alone in a house full of memories. My son, Aaron, offered for me to come stay with him and his wife, Haley, and their 2 little boys. I thought it would just be temporary, help them out with the kids, save money, maybe figure out a small apartment nearby later on. But I stayed. And, at first, it felt right. Like I still had a place in the world. I worked almost 40 years, mostly as a dental office receptionist. My pension isn't large. After Medicare and other deductions, I bring in about $1,100 a month. I use that money to buy groceries, pay for small things around the house, gifts for the grandkids, or the occasional treat like a haircut. I don't go anywhere. I don't shop for myself. My needs are small, but I've always tried to be helpful. Over the last year, something shifted with Haley. She started treating me differently. It wasn't anything big at first. Just small things, talking over me, redoing the laundry I had folded, hiding the TV remote when I was watching something. Then it turned into passive-aggressive comments. Like when I cooked dinner, she'd ask if I used real ingredients. She'd criticize the brands I bought, say they were off-brand garbage. If I cleaned, she'd say I missed a spot. I brushed it off. I didn't want to make trouble. Aaron is a nurse at UPMC and works long, grueling hours. He's always exhausted when he gets home. I didn't want to be another stress on him. But the worst part was that she always waited until Aaron wasn't around. When he was home, she smiled and acted like we were all a happy family. But the minute he left, the mask dropped. Last Thursday was the first of the month. My pension hit, and I knew the fridge was nearly empty. I told Haley I'd do the shopping that week. She just shrugged. I walked to the Giant Eagle with my cart and a list. I spent $288.56, pretty much everything I had for the month. I got fresh meat, vegetables, cereal for the boys, snacks, juice boxes, everything I thought would make the house feel full again. It felt good, like I still had value. That night, I cooked dinner, roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, and a little salad with crumbled goat cheese I splurged on. The boys were happy. Aaron thanked me, kissed my cheek. Haley didn't eat. She just sat at the table scrolling through her phone, didn't say a word. Around 11 p.m., I heard banging from the kitchen. When I walked out, Haley was there with 2 black trash bags. I froze. She was throwing everything away. "What are you doing?" I asked. She turned and looked at me like I was dirt. "This crap you bought? You think this is helping? You spent your little check on expired leftovers and cheap junk. Nobody asked you to play hero." She dumped the bag in the outside bin like it was nothing. Then she walked right past me, without another word. I went back to bed, but didn't sleep. Just stared at the ceiling, my chest tight. At 6:45 the next morning, I was standing at the Giant Eagle doors before they opened. I had the receipt. Most of the food was unopened. She hadn't even gotten to half of it. I explained everything to the manager. They refunded $238. Some things they couldn't take back, but it didn't matter. I didn't need the money. I just needed her to feel what I felt. When I got home, I emptied the fridge and freezer completely. Not a single slice of cheese left. Then I cleaned the shelves until they sparkled. And I left one note. "You don't want what I bring? Then you won't have it." At 8:15 a.m., she came down to make breakfast. I was sitting at the table with my tea. She opened the fridge. Nothing. She opened the freezer. Still nothing. She froze. Her phone slipped from her hand and hit the tile. She didn't say a word, just stared at the empty fridge like it punched her in the stomach. I didn't flinch, didn't smile. I just sipped my tea. That was the moment she realized I wasn't going to be quiet anymore. And believe me, I was just getting started. After the fridge incident, the house changed. Aaron noticed something was off. He asked Haley what happened to the groceries, and she told him I must have returned them all out of spite. She said I was going senile, acting erratic, that I was trying to create drama. When he asked me, I just said, "Ask your wife." I could see the confusion in his eyes. He didn't know who to believe. And that's exactly how she wanted it. A few days later, I tried to cook dinner again. Nothing fancy, just pasta and a salad. I heard her talking on the phone in the next room. She didn't know I was nearby. She's playing the victim now. Useless old bat spends one check and thinks she's Mother Teresa. I swear to God, if she drops dead, it'll be a relief. I didn't cry. I didn't storm in. I just stood there. My hands were shaking, but not from sadness. From rage. The next morning, she threw out the pasta leftovers I had packed in containers. She told the boys' grandma made poison spaghetti. The kids looked confused. They love my cooking. But she made sure they didn't touch it. A week went by, and the tension only grew. I stopped cooking. Stopped cleaning. I stayed in my room mostly. Aaron noticed, but every time he asked what was wrong, Haley jumped in and said I was just being dramatic. That maybe I needed assisted living soon. I started documenting things. Recording audio on my phone. Saving receipts. Taking photos. I even installed a small $40 camera near the fridge, hidden behind the cookie jar. I needed proof. Because I knew Haley wasn't just being cruel, she was trying to push me out. Slowly, methodically. Make me look unstable until Aaron agreed to put me in a home or force me to leave. Then she made the mistake of trying to touch my money. One day I came back from a walk and found my bank card missing. I knew exactly where I kept it, inside a small pouch in my drawer, under my socks. I confronted her directly. "I'm missing my card." She didn't even blink. "Maybe you lost it. You're always forgetting things." That same day, I checked my account from the library computer. There were 2 DoorDash charges. One to Sephora, another to some boutique I'd never heard of, totaling almost $300. My entire next month's food budget gone. She stole from me. That's when something inside me cracked wide open. I reported the card stolen. I filed a police report, and I didn't tell her a word. I printed the receipts. I called my old friend Janice, who still works for the county office. She gave me a number for a free elder law attorney who helps with financial abuse cases. And I started building a file. Because this wasn't just petty anymore. This was war. And Haley? She had no idea what was coming. The day after I filed the police report, things got quiet. Too quiet. Haley didn't say a word to me. She avoided eye contact. No snide remarks. No yelling. I didn't think she knew yet. But she did. And she was working behind the scenes. That weekend, Aaron came home early from a double shift. He looked exhausted and tense. He asked to talk to me in private. "I need to ask something," he said, sitting across from me in the living room. "Haley says you've been confused lately. That you might be having memory issues. She says you accused her of stealing your card and called the cops." Did that really happen? I stared at him. My own son, who I raised, who I fed and clothed and helped put through nursing school, looking at me like I might be slipping. I pulled out the file I'd been keeping. I showed him the receipts. The transaction history. A screenshot of the Sephora order with Haley's name on the shipping address. I showed him the audio recording, just 22 seconds, of her calling me a useless old bat and saying she'd be relieved if I dropped dead. And finally, I showed him a still from the hidden fridge camera. Her, at 1:13 a.m., trash bag in hand, dumping groceries into the bin. He didn't say a word for a long time. He just sat there, his hands clenched, his face pale. Then he whispered, "I didn't know. Jesus, Mom, I didn't know." I believed him. He works so much, and she plays the perfect wife when he's home. But he saw the truth now. I could see the shame on his face. Later that night, I heard them arguing in their room. It wasn't quiet this time. "You stole from her, Haley. What the hell is wrong with you? She's manipulating you. She's crazy. She's been trying to turn you against me from day one." Then a slap. I heard it. I know what that sound is. That's when something twisted I never expected happened. The next day, she was gone. Her car, her clothes, the kids' backpacks.
Just gone. No wolvidé. No explanación.
Erin came downstairs, eyes red, and said flatly, "She took the kids and left. She said she's filing for separation. She told me I'll never see them again." And just like that, the woman who tormented me walked out of the house, but not out of our lives. 3 days later, a letter came in the mail from her lawyer. Haley was filing for full custody. She claimed I was mentally unwell and a threat to the kids. She said Erin had allowed a dangerous elder to live in the home, and that made him unfit. She even filed for an emergency protective order against me. I wasn't even allowed to see my grandsons. That's when I knew this wasn't just about me anymore. She was ready to destroy her own family to protect her image. And she underestimated just how far I was willing to go to protect mine. The restraining order hearing was set 2 weeks out. Until then, I wasn't allowed within 100 feet of my grandsons. The same boys I fed, bathed, read bedtime stories to for 3 years. The same boys who used to run into my room first thing every morning to crawl under the blankets with me. Erin tried to fight it. He got a lawyer through his hospital's employee plan. But Haley was smart. She was already painting a picture to the court that she was protecting her children from a mentally declining mother-in-law who lashed out and caused instability in the home. She even brought up my age, my quietness, the fact that I kept to myself, as if that proved I was unstable. And worst of all, she used my own silence against me. She barely spoke. She stayed in her room all day. She wouldn't even eat. She returned all the groceries and left the family with nothing. She documented me, secretly recorded audio, and hid cameras in the kitchen. What kind of person does that? It was twisted, but on paper it made me look obsessed, paranoid, maybe even vengeful. Erin's lawyer told us it was going to be tough to undo the narrative unless we had clear, time-stamped proof. Something that showed a pattern, not just one incident. I still had the bank charges and the store return receipt. I still had the audio and the fridge camera stills. But it wasn't enough to show what really mattered, that she'd been working for months to push me out, make me look like a burden, steal from me, and now was using the legal system to finish the job. That's when I remembered something, an old iPhone in my dresser drawer. It wasn't connected to a line anymore, but it still worked on Wi-Fi. Months ago, I'd used it to record voice memos when I couldn't sleep. Sometimes I'd leave it in the hallway at night when I suspected she was talking about me on the phone. I dug it out and started going through the files. One after another, small audio clips. Most were nothing. But then I hit one labeled JN17_1 AM. I pressed play. And there she was, whispering on the phone in the kitchen. "I don't care what it costs, I want her gone. I'll say she forgot the stove on, whatever. I'll say she scared the kids. I don't care. If she wants a war, she's going to lose." I transferred the file. I printed a transcript. I handed it to Erin.
His face changed.
We were done playing defense. And from that point on, I made it my mission to turn the legal system she tried to use against me right back on her. The hearing was held in a small courtroom in Allegheny County. Haley came in dressed like a martyr, clean-cut, polished, holding one of the boys' backpacks like a prop. She gave the judge a binder full of printed screenshots, text messages taken out of context, and photos of the empty fridge, saying I had sabotaged the household. She said I was unstable, manipulative, and that my presence put her children at risk. She even said I had threatened to poison the family's food. It was a performance, and for a while I could tell the judge was listening. But then Erin's attorney stood up. He started with the financial records. The DoorDash and Sephora charges traced directly to Haley's name and address. Then came the fridge photos. The camera stills showing her dumping bags of groceries. The timestamps matched the receipt and refund time from the next morning. Next, the audio recording. The court clerk played it out loud. "I don't care what it costs, I want her gone. I'll say she forgot the stove on, whatever. I'll say she scared the kids. I don't care. If she wants a war, she's going to lose." The judge raised an eyebrow. Haley tried to object, said it was edited. But it was too late. Erin spoke next, and he didn't hold back. My mother gave up her house, her independence, to help us. She cooked for our kids. She paid for our food. She cleaned, babysat, never asked for anything. My wife resented that. She started controlling the narrative, isolating my mom, lying to me about her behavior, and finally stealing from her. Then I spoke. Just once. I stayed silent because I didn't want to come between my son and his wife. But silence almost cost me everything. I won't let that happen again. The judge dismissed the restraining order. On top of that, Haley was referred for investigation for financial elder abuse. They didn't arrest her in the courtroom, but the recommendation was on the record. The case would move forward. She lost custody temporarily. The court granted Erin full custody while the investigation was active. She was allowed supervised visitation only twice a month. Erin filed for divorce 2 days later. It didn't end there. 3 months later, the Department of Human Services contacted me. They asked if I wanted to testify further in the elder financial abuse case. I said yes. Haley lost more than the case. She lost her online business, her reputation trashed after court documents were made public. A few local bloggers picked it up. Her mommy influencer image was done. Sponsors dropped her. People turned on her. Last I heard, she was living with her sister in a 2-bedroom apartment, working part-time at a call center. And me? I stayed in Erin's home. But this time, as someone respected. The locks were changed. The house got quieter. My grandsons came back into my room every morning, just like before. One of them asked, "Grandma, are you staying forever now?" I looked at him, smiled, and said, "Yes, baby. I'm not going anywhere." Because when someone tries to erase you, the only way to win is to make sure they disappear from your life instead. And this time, I wasn't the one packing bags.